Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 516.
Woo!
As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by viable human Chris Saturn.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, Saturn. We made it. It's only 11:30 at night as we begin our second episode.
Yeah, that's fine. That's actually not that abnormal, really.
It's not. I've been trying to catch up on my sleeping, and it turns out when I'm dieting, my body says, oh, you're not going to give me enough food? Then I'm going to make you sleep all the time, every day.
I intended on spending this week catching up on sleep because I took the week off work, and that's the opposite of what happened. I thought I was going to sleep the other morning, and then I ended up instead taking my mom to the hospital. And the day before that, I was supposed to catch up on sleep, and instead I took my cat to the vet. So really, sleep is elusive.
Yeah. You want to take my dog to the vet tomorrow? Just finish the trifecta?
Nah, I'm good.
No housekeeping. I was trying to think. I think everything's good and normal and fine, and it's just it is what it is. It's the world we live in. You know, what's that meme? The world you grew up in is dead. Here we are trying to relive it slowly but surely. My week. I'm still playing the Pokemans. I'm playing the Pokemon Crystal, and I'm coming up on my. I think I have 3 gym badges. And it's funny, the whole time I'm playing it, I keep thinking like, man, I really wonder what Saturn would make of this. And like, I don't want to push you into playing it, but I'm so curious how you would think it compares to the first generation game. Because it's definitely a lot more dynamic, but also more difficult. And there's a little bit more story. Not much, but there's just like a little bit more shit going on in the towns. And so I'm every turn I take in the game, I'm like, I'm really curious what Saturn would say about this. Still,
I was thinking about it, and I don't know why I didn't think of this before we did the episode on it, but it did not even occur to me when we were doing the Pokemon episode that we would get more feedback for that episode than we normally do. It does feel like we're getting more feedback. And because to me, Pokemon is not that important of a game in my life. Like, it's just that game in the background that I don't really play and is relatively unimportant compared to all these big tentpole franchises.
Like, I've played them, but they've never been like tentpole franchises for me either. I mean, much more for me than for you, especially when I was little. But like, I'm not like hardcore into them or anything.
Like, on an average day, if you asked me to name all of Nintendo's biggest franchises, I would probably completely forget to mention Pokemon. Like,
honestly, I might forget it too. Yeah, I'd be like Mario,
that's
Zelda,
not one that
Metroid.
Exactly. Yeah, I would get to Kid Icarus before I'd remember Pokemon. So yeah, it is somewhat taking me off guard how much feedback we're getting from that episode. It shouldn't, but it does.
No, it should not. No, it should not. But yeah, I'm like, again, in my like everything the whole time I'm playing it, I have your feedback on the game and how you felt about it in my head, and it's making me so curious how you would see the second generation of games.
I have no idea,
because a lot of things really have evolved in it, but then some of the things that have evolved are like, it just feels more difficult. Broadly, like the fights are more difficult. It feels like I don't know. It's just it's really interesting. But still very much enjoying it, and trying to play without a guide. I finally hit a point where I had to look up where to get the surf HM because I hit a point where I couldn't progress in the story without surfing, and I was like, I missed it somewhere, I guess. But really good. The second generation really front loads a lot of the cool features of Pokemon. More so than I feel like the first generation. Like you're hitting like the big shopping center faster. I feel like you get surf earlier in the game. You get the game corner earlier. Like it just seems to sort of shove you into things a little quicker. Also, we had talked on the pre-show 2 episodes ago, mostly me and Guy, about music stuff, and I was talking about how I've always wanted to understand even the most minute amount of music theory at all. Because I've never been a musical person. I wasn't raised around musicians. Nobody I knew played any instruments. It just it was never a thing that was ever in my life.
Right.
And he was very encouraging on the pre-show, and it inspired me to go actually try to learn some music theory. And I have no aspirations of becoming a musician or making music or doing anything or sharing anything before anyone even begins to ask. I'm literally just enjoying playing with sound is what I would define what I'm doing.
Just Mario Paint.
But a lot of it is, I did some Mario Paint. A lot of it is just playing in like the free digital tools available. I'm using a digital audio software called Cakewalk and learning about like sequencers. And I did buy a keyboard, like
nice.
a musical keyboard.
I've got a MIDI keyboard.
I bought a keyboard. It's a Casio from like the 80s.
Mine's a Yamaha.
And
mine actually has USB MIDI connection on it.
Oh, mine does not. But I got that so I could learn just kind of some basic chords and notes and music theory stuff.
Neat.
And it's been really interesting. It's been a lot of fun. It's so much to learn. Like literally any video that I watch, I have to like write down terms. It's like the very first beginner music theory for idiot babies that are just born. In the second they start talking, I have a bulleted list of terms that I don't understand that I have to go watch their own videos of, and those are also full of bulleted lists of terms that I don't understand. It's like learning a new language.
Did you take any music classes in middle school or high school or anything?
No, I had a music class in 3rd grade where we played the recorder, and that was it.
Nice.
I never did band in school. I learned like 6 chords on the guitar and had a guitar when I was a teenager, and that's it. So I'm learning a lot. And because electronic music is what interests me, and video game music and things like that, I'm also having to learn a lot about just how like sound waves work. Because synths and stuff use that kind of information.
Right.
Because you're manipulating, like the actual wave forms themselves. So that's a whole second layer of understanding. My point is, it's extremely dense. But I'm having fun with it. My keyboard is not here, so I've been playing keys on my regular computer keyboard.
Yeah.
Because I can do that in the software I'm using. It's really, really hard to play music on a keyboard because there's keys there that don't make sound because there's more keys than a piano has. But my keyboard is supposed to be here tomorrow, and hopefully I can then start, learning some chords and progressions and stuff like that. But it's fun. I've been having a lot of fun with it. And enjoying it, and
that's good.
I don't know that anything will ever come out of me that is anything even remotely musical.
Yeah.
But I'm at least learning the vocabulary of music, which is helpful for listening to and understanding music, which is nice. It's like learning like taking a film class, even though you're not going to be a director, because it helps you, view movies differently.
Yeah.
And so I'm finding that already I'm kind of like when I'm listening to music, I'm sort of listening to it a little bit differently, or maybe listening for more stuff, more actively, I would say. So that's been eating up a lot of my time because, my God, taking a single baby step takes me hours. It's excruciating.
Did you ever look at the 8-Bit Music Theory YouTube channel?
No, you had mentioned that, and I'd meant to message you and ask about it because I forgot the name. So I need to look that up, and maybe some of that will make some sense to me now that I've been trying to learn some basic music theory. Right. And most of what I've been playing with is I have a sampler app on my phone, and I bought this little cable that like inverts the audio and microphone signal on a duplex plug. Mm-hmm. And so I can plug anything into my phone and take little samples of it. So I've been sampling like my Game Boy, my MP3 player, some records, and just playing with the sounds. And so that's been a lot of fun. And I taught my daughter how to do it, and she immediately made a fart song.
Of course, yeah.
Where she sampled herself making various fart noises, and it sounds better than anything I could even dream of making.
At least you hadn't sampled real farts.
I think that would take time, right? You gotta
brew them up.
Gross. That's the grossest way to refer two farts I've ever. You gotta brew them up.
That's how my dad always said it.
Brewing some farts.
Yeah.
Anyway, Saturn, what have you been doing?
Brewing some farts.
Yeah, the huge.
Yeah. No, after I finished Clair Obscura, I went back to Lunar, which was the game I was playing before Clair Obscura. I really hate playing. I hate playing more than one game at a time, and getting distracted from one game and going to another always bugs me. So like the whole time that I was playing each successive game, I was like, no, I need to get back to this one.
Yeah.
So I'm back to Lunar, and it's still good. Still good remaster. They do a good job of introducing just enough quality of life improvements to make it worthwhile. It is rough going back to Working Design's translation from 1998 today.
Sure.
And I've been using the Working Design strategy guide that I've had since back then, and that's even rougher to go back to because man, I think they try to be
funny in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's real bad. Oh man, it's some bad.
You shared a
humor.
clip in the Discord. I forget because going through that Pokemon guide was the same. Like they really try to make it like entertaining to read, and you're like, nah, dog, that ain't it. Don't do that. Just give me the information, and I don't need the jokes. Please stop.
Yeah, unlike a Pokemon guide, these guys are also trying to be edgy and funny.
The stuff you shared was pretty risque.
Yeah, it's rough, and but the game itself is still good, which is the important part. I just have to roll my eyes at it every now and then. Also, I picked up Capcom Fighting Collection 2, which just came out.
Yes. Which games are in this one? Because I have the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection.
So this one has the first two Capcom vs. SNK games.
Okay.
It also has Project Justice, but not Rival Schools for some reason. I don't know why they skipped Rival Schools. Maybe it was in another one and I forgot about it.
Because the first one was mostly Darkstalkers, wasn't it? The first Fighting Collection?
No, it wasn't mostly Darkstalkers, but it did have the 3 Darkstalkers in there. It also had like Red Earth and some Street Fighters and stuff.
Okay.
This one has Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, the enhanced re-release. It's got one of the Street Fighter 3s. I think it's Third Strike. Might be remembering wrong. And then it also has Capcom Fighting Evolution, which was Capcom's internal crossover game that released on PS2 that I completely forget exists all the time.
Yeah. Was that the one with the cover and it was like a white background and had like a bajillion characters on it? Like Guile was right in the front. Yeah. I remember that cover art.
But yeah, so I've been playing around with that. It's neat. It's a good collection. And it's more importantly, it's a collection of games that I didn't play as much as a lot of Capcom's other fighting games. So I'm enjoying just kind of tinkering around with it and figuring out how some of it works.
Yeah.
Also, I picked up the port of Parasol Stars because it's on all the different platforms. So I picked it up on Xbox. It was like $12 or something. So that was always one of my favorite TurboGrafx games, and it's pretty vanilla and bare bones. It does have an arcade mode that has achievements, and it doesn't let you cheat. And then it's got the regular mode that does let you cheat, and it gives you all kinds of cheats to make the game easier.
Oh, that's nice.
But even the arcade mode starts you out with unlimited continues and more lives than normal. So it still kind of feels like cheating.
There's not like a dip switch setting or anything? It just
it was never released in arcades. It was a TurboGrafx exclusive originally.
Yeah. So
they just released the TurboGrafx version with a slight hack that gives you unlimited credits.
Yeah.
But it's a good port. It's still a good game. Still like that game. I've been tinkering around with my Surface that I've been using as an e-reader. And I had mentioned previously that I'd put Fedora on there and it was working great.
Oh, yeah. With the touch interface and all that.
Yeah. And then I decided it was working too great and I had to tinker with it more. Because
the plight of the Linux user. So I could make anything better if I was only smart enough.
Right. So the thing was, because I'm mostly using it as an e-reader. But all of my e-books are in Google Play Books because that's just where I could upload them and then download them to whatever device without having to copy them over to everything. And so I was using them on Android tablets or on my iPad because there's apps for that. But there's not an app for Linux for that. You just have to go to the website. Yeah. And that's fine, except for it doesn't give you any offline storage. And I brought it to work to read something, and I couldn't read anything because I wasn't connected to the internet. And I was like, well...
Welcome to the future. You can't read your book without internet.
Right. So I was like, well, maybe there's a build of Android that I can install on this Surface instead. So I found Bliss OS, which is a Android, just a vanilla Android port that works on any x86 device. So I installed that on there. And Google Play Books works great. It's got the offline storage, everything I wanted. And then I realized it doesn't auto-rotate. I don't know why. It does not support auto-rotate on the Surface, but Linux does.
That's weird.
Yeah, and it was driving me insane.
Thing to not work in Android.
Right. And it was driving me nuts. So finally I just put Linux back on there. I put Fedora back on there. Everything's working great in Fedora, except for I can't read my books offline. And then I installed Waydroid, which is a Android container effectively for Linux that lets you install Android apps. So I've got Fedora on there running Waydroid, running Google Play Books Android version, but it looks like a native Linux app and it runs great.
You could just download some backups of these books.
No, that's
I still get mine off of IRC like it's the 90s.
Well, that's where I get my books too, but it's not it wouldn't store my progress between my devices.
Oh, you're a device switcher.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll read on my phone if I don't have my tablet with me.
Yeah.
But if I'm somewhere where I know I'll be for a while, I'll bring the tablet and read on that. And so
I'm a Luddite when it comes to books. I would print out a book to read it before I'd read it whole hog on a screen.
No,
I don't know. It's never been my bag.
I like physical paper books. And
sure, who doesn't?
Right. I do prefer physical paper books when I, have the space and everything for them. Yeah. But they take up so much space. And
they do
also, I can't handle hardcover books because I have dropped them on my face too many times when I'm trying to read in bed.
That's the weirdest reason to hate a hardcover.
Oh, man. Because I'll always read in bed.
You're holding them over your face?
Yeah.
I feel like we've had this conversation.
Yeah. I read in bed, and I've dropped them on my face too many times. And dropping a tablet on your face isn't any more fun, but it doesn't weigh as much as a hardcover book.
Why are you holding it so close to your face?
I'm reading it. I'm laying down.
I think maybe you need some bifocals, buddy.
Well, no, I'm laying down. It's got to be over my face. It's not like it's going to be,
Hold on. I need a picture. We need to stop the show, and I need to...
I swear we've had this conversation before.
We have. Everything's on hold. So you're laying, and you're suspending it directly vertically over your face.
Yeah, usually, yeah.
That's the weirdest... That's like how an alien would assume that you read a book in bed.
Sometimes I'll lean forward.
You're supposed to prop your head up a little bit and then prop it on your chest.
But then my neck starts to hurt after a little while.
So then you just prop yourself up on one elbow.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. That's way too uncomfortable.
I know we've had this conversation and I've forgotten, and it's still bewildering to me that you read books in bed like you're a cone head. Just stick it straight out.
Well, like my arms are propped on my chest, so they are,
So hold on,
I'm
doing it right now. My elbows are kind of on my chest or kind of on my sides a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I'm suspending it over my face.
Right. Yeah.
This is insane. This is insane, people.
That's how I've been doing it since I was a kid.
We got to do the news, or I'm gonna freak out. First up, 8BitDo announced a new Hitbox-style controller, which is really cool. I don't do hitboxes, but it looks very nice and very slim, and they announced an Xbox version of it, and it looks it's so sleek looking, I kind of want to get one. But
I'm jealous of how slim it is, but I would never, ever, ever use it.
I would not either, no. Japan's Game Preservation Society says they're safe for now, and thank fans for their support. They were in dire financial straits very recently.
Yeah, we mentioned that recently, and that's
good to see.
I'm glad to see it there back.
Good follow-up news, yeah. NN and Strictly Limited Games have canceled the previously announced PS4 physical release of Parasol Stars, and the PS5 Switch release will be bundled with previously Japanese exclusive Taito arcade game Spisa Adventure.
I've never known if it's Spisa or Spika.
I might say Spisa Adventure.
It seems fun. I'm interested in that. I had pre-ordered the PS4 version of Parasol
Well,
Stars,
not
but I
anymore, you
guess not
didn't.
anymore.
Yep, no, it's that you can't have that now. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Thanks for your money. Thanks, but no thanks. Did they just refund you, or did they at least give you an option to switch to a different version?
Yeah, they gave me the option for a refund or a PS5 version.
Okay, well that's something. They
So
didn't just be like,
take
never mind.
I took the PS5 version, and so I'll get both games.
Yeah. Take-Two's latest financial report shows that GTA 5 is still selling an average of 5 million units every 3 months.
That's ridiculous.
I can't. I know the GTA 6 is coming and everyone's all hype on it or whatever, but I'm already anticipating the news articles that are like, GTA 5 still selling as much as GTA 6 every month in 2028 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's coming, man.
Yeah, I don't understand any of this.
I don't either.
I've never been a big GTA fan. Like, I was casually into 3 and Vice City.
Yeah.
And the fact that GTA 5 still sells this many is just, I don't understand it. I don't understand the draw for wanting to constantly play GTA forever as an online service. That doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah. GOG now supports 2-factor authenticator apps, which is really cool. You can actually use it in your authenticator apps instead of the stupid fucking SMS thing, which I hate. It's very nice. Very nice to see that from GOG. Everyone else, please also do that. Please, Thank you, goodbye.
Yeah, I immediately turned off my email verification and turned on the 2-factor. And then for the next 3 days afterwards, I got a push notification from GOG Galaxy saying, hey, we support 2-factor now. I'm like, I know. I already set it up.
Thanks. Atari announced Missile Command Delta, presumably competing directly with Metal Gear Solid Delta as the other Delta-titled game this year.
Right.
Which looks like it might be a walking sim filled with puzzles.
Yeah, like little simulator puzzles. It looks neat. I'll give it that. I don't know what it is or what they're going for, but it looks neat. It doesn't look like Missile Command.
I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, we've had Missile Command for so many years, and it's been reinvented a couple times. Let's get weird. Why not? We're already getting weird with Pac-Man. We're doing, dark, gothic, Metroidvania Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Let's fucking do Missile Command. They can call it Missile Command.
God damn.
It'll be perfect. Square Enix says they considered shutting down Final Fantasy XI last year, but opted not to due to fan support, which is good, but it also sounds like I just saved your life because I was going to kill you, but then I changed my mind. So I don't know.
It is crazy that the game still has so much support after 22, 23 years now.
Oh, yeah.
So good on Final Fantasy XI fans for keeping it alive.
Yeah, and the alternative is eventually all MMOs either die or they get sold to one of the 2 companies that buy all the old MMOs like EverQuest and shit and just run them in perpetuity as like a weird homunculus.
You know that Square Enix will never in a billion years sell something with the Final Fantasy name on it.
No, they would not. No, they would not. Rumors point to possible Steam integration in the Xbox app for Windows and potentially future Xbox consoles, which is cool. Everything's an Xbox. So now
works. Everything can be a Steam box.
It's perfect. If everything is an Xbox, then anything being anything else means it's also becoming an Xbox. So by the transitive property, we're all Xboxes.
Now,
I think it works out.
I am okay with having Steam games integrated into the Xbox app. It'll give people a reason to ever open the Xbox app for any reason whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that would be weird about it, there has to be restrictions. I can't imagine that this will happen without restrictions. If for no other reason, then there is not a chance that you'll get an Xbox where you can open up Steam and install God of War. No way Sony would let that happen.
Not going to happen. No. Randy Pitchford says that if you're a real Borderlands fan, you'll find a way to pay $80 for the next game, and then cited an anecdote about how he paid $80 for a game when he was young in the 90s. So, fuck you, Randy.
Seriously.
You fucking dumbass.
If you were a real fan of all of your customers, you would have found a way to make the game cost less.
Yeah, or a way to stop getting in weird lawsuits, or stop taking secret bonuses, allegedly, or stop apparently not paying business partners, or I don't know, any of the number of like stupid, shitty things you've done, Randy.
Yeah,
Randy. I'm fucking over it. And guess what? I guess I'm not a real Borderlands fan because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna buy it. So it's,
I was never a Borderlands fan, so it's not.
I liked the first one, and I remember I played the second one a little bit, and I was like, these are cool, and then they kept coming out with them, and I was like, fuck it, slow down, and they're like, and we have a spin-off series, and I was like, it's too much, stop.
I didn't realize they had that many.
Oh, I looked it up. There's a dozen games in the Borderlands universe. Also a movie. Dozen games in a movie.
The movie was a failure, but
I still want to see it because it looks so bad. I think the Borderlands movie, not that they made one, but that it had like a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
is more exciting to me than any of the pitches of any of the games past like the second one. To make a movie that bad, I mean, that's fascinating with A-list actors too.
Yeah.
I mean, holy shit, Randy. How the fuck did you do that, man? Anyway, Microsoft surprise dropped a Retro Classics collection on Xbox and Windows featuring a bunch of old Activision and Sierra games for Atari 2600, DOS, SNES, PS1, Amiga, MechWarrior 2 is there.
Yeah,
so
MechWarrior
if you want to stream Atari 2600 games over the internet to your Xbox
or PC.
So
it is running through AntStream. I downloaded it, tested it out. It's fine as long as you can put up with the load times. It takes way too long to load an Atari 2600 game. That's unacceptably long.
Any amount of time is way too long to load
yes.
an Atari. 10 seconds is too long.
That's about how long it is. It's between 5 and 10 seconds. And I did play through all of Pitfall 2 on there, and I got an achievement for it, which felt so fucking weird.
I mean, just the packets keeping your connection alive have to be larger than the entire game ROM, right?
Yeah, because I think it was 2 kilobytes, something like that. Like Atari ROMs are tiny, and it's silly that it takes as long as it does for it to load. For the later games, I can kind of understand it. The emulator front end for the DOS point-and-click Sierra games is a little weird. On Xbox console. On PC it's probably fine. I think it's just like a DOS box front end. But it seems to run fine. For MechWarrior 1 it only has the Super NES port, and for MechWarrior 2 it only has the PS1 port. Which seems weird, but I think they were just trying to make them as controller friendly as possible.
Doesn't seem weird, it seems bad.
What also is weird is they have both the Amiga and Sega CD ports of The Adventures of Willy Beamish on there.
I'm going to say this. MechWarrior 5 works great on an Xbox controller. There's no reason they couldn't make MechWarriors 1 and 2 work on it. There's just no reason. They just didn't want to put it.
They would have had to remap everything, and also the in-game instructions wouldn't have told you what buttons to press.
Okay, so Microsoft would have to remap controls and make a PDF. I think they could handle it. I think they got the manpower is all I'm saying. I think they could have done it.
I think they were going for whatever the easiest to explain to a customer method would have been, and this would have been easier. But yeah, it's it is an odd collection. I'm glad it's out there. I want to see more availability
own them
of
or be able to buy them or put them on a disc or something. But
That's
it's something. They're playable, so whatever.
It's as good as Nintendo Switch Online, I guess.
Sony is ending the PlayStation Stars program after 3 years. Thanks, Sony. Good job. You just did it. No more PlayStation Stars.
I forgot it existed. To be honest.
I don't know that I ever engaged. Was that the app where you can get the things, then you put it?
Yeah, it was a rewards program where you could get stars and then spend them on gift cards.
Oh, no!
It was kind of like Microsoft Rewards, but for PlayStation.
I remember when Microsoft Rewards were good and you could get games all the time.
Yeah, and also
I was getting like 2 or 3 first-party Microsoft games a month in the 360 era.
Mm-hmm.
Super easy. And finally, Nintendo Switch Online new Game Boy games. Gradius Interstellar Assault, which I think is Nemesis 2 in Europe, isn't it?
I think so.
I think because we got Nemesis, and the Nemesis 2 came out, and then here it was Gradius Interstellar Assault, which I've not played that one.
Yeah.
Kirby Star Stacker, which is pretty fun. Sword of Hope and Survival Kids. So some deep cuts.
Well, Survival Kids is about to get a sequel on Switch 2, so I can understand why they would release that all of a sudden.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Sword
of Hope is one that I think I've looked that one up before. I'm trying to remember which one Sword of Hope is.
It's
Um,
it was an old Kimco game. I didn't really care for it myself, but it's one of those early Game Boy RPGs.
yeah, I was looking it up. Is this one? It's like a Western RPG and it's like first person, isn't it?
I believe so.
All right, I think I know what it is. I think I know. Anyway, that brings us to our topic at hand, which is hidden gems, handheld puzzle games, which is
A mouthful.
it's specific.
Yeah.
It's a little specific.
It's for the people who want that itch just past Tetris.
Right. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
there. Like, I feel like there's some kind of beautiful marriage that occurs whenever a puzzle game is on a handheld. Because let's be honest, sometimes I don't want to sit down and turn on my 70-inch television and boot up my PlayStation or whatever to play a game of Tetris. That just seems like a lot. That's a lot of technology between me and Tetris.
But what about if you had to power up your PlayStation VR 2 instead? Would that be okay?
It just seems like too much for a game I'm going to play for 3.5 minutes, probably while pooping. So it's just a little bit.
I don't know that I've ever played Tetris for only 3.5 minutes.
I have for sure. Yeah, definitely.
That is a game
definitely.
I sit down and play for a while. I don't know about you.
You really hunker down on the shitter and get some Tetris.
Well, you got to get the light. That's the only place you're going to get enough light to illuminate a Game Boy screen.
Anyway, Scope, puzzle games on handheld systems that you might not have heard of. That's basically it. We've got it covered here. And so we only make Scope so that Justin can cheat at it. That's what we've decided is what we're doing. So the way I cheated this episode was I didn't limit myself to puzzle games that exist exclusively on handhelds.
I don't think I did either.
So any handheld port is fair game. In the instances that the handheld port is superior to the console version, I will notate that. And so Saturn, you have a conceit in here as well.
Yeah. So none of my picks feel particularly hidden to me, but they probably are to people who, because I've learned as we've done this show over fucking a decade that apparently I'm pretty far in the weeds in a lot of video game shit.
I'll say this: 3 of yours I've never even heard of. 2 of them I've heard of. The one of them I know sold decently. That's it. So I think you definitely.
So yeah, every time we do one of these hidden gems, I'm always like, I don't think these are that hidden. And then I am told as we do the episode that they are. So
they are indeed hidden. Yeah. So we go round robin on these. We haven't done a hidden gems in a little bit. I think our last one was
it's been a minute.
PS2. I don't even know.
We did a Game Boy one at some point too. I don't remember.
Did we? So now we've got 2 handhelds. I think we've
done
a lot of handheld hidden gem stuff. So the reason I wanted to do this is because I have been eBaying Game Boy games, and I just kind of go find anything that's like no bids and $1, and I'll bid like $1 on it. And I ended up with a copy of this game Quarth.
Yeah.
And I bid on it because it was a what'd you call it?
Block hole.
Block hole sounds like a really bad insult.
No, it's the arcade name for this game.
So I bought Quarth. I saw it and it was looked like a shmup, but he was shooting Tetris blocks, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck this game is, so I'm gonna bid $1, and then I won the game for $1. So it shipped. I think I paid like $5 after shipping, of course.
Yeah.
So I paid $4 or $5 for this game. I didn't look anything up beforehand, just so because I wanted to go in blind, and I had so much fun with it. I played the Game Boy version. It was developed by Ultra, which is Konami, and published by Ultra, which is Konami.
Yeah.
Released in North America December 1990. This is, of course, the Game Boy port of the game. There was an arcade version. I think there's other versions. I don't know, I think it was on like MSX and stuff.
It was definitely on MSX.
But Quarth is a bizarre mixture of Tetris and a shmup.
Yeah.
Which really should be enough for anyone to just go play it without me needing to say anything else. Like that, you've been sold. But blocks fall in patterns from the top of the screen, and each pattern is some sort of L-shaped rectangle that's missing 4 blocks from its center in some combination. So maybe it's a long rectangle missing a single row of 3 blocks, or it's a shorter rectangle missing 4 blocks in like a 2x2 grid in the middle. And so you as the player use your ship to shoot the missing blocks into the rectangles, thus completing them. Once you complete a rectangle, they disappear. The trick is shooting too many blocks will cause you to have to fire additional blocks to complete that row to complete the rectangle before it can disappear. So it forces you to go slow and count your shots as you're going. And that's where the strategy kind of comes in. It's really simple, but it's so much fun. And it scratches some kind of itch I have of like completing things or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm with you.
It's very nice. It has a lot of that same feeling in Tetris where that moment when you like slide that line block down in the little well that you made, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the good stuff. You get a little bit of that in Quarth, over and over and over because you're constantly clearing the rectangles. But it's just a pretty simple game, and really, really fun. I had a really good time with it.
It is also, if anybody doesn't want to dig out a Game Boy, it's available on PS4 and Switch under the name Blockhole.
Also, it is the game that I learned to reflow stuff on because this game didn't work when I got it. So I had to reflow the chips on it because I guess I had a bad joint or something. I don't know. And so this game taught me to reflow Game Boy cartridges, which I've now had to do twice from shit that I bought off of eBay. So yeah, that's Quarth. That's my first pick. What's your Saturday?
Yeah, one thing I want to say about Quarth that is completely off topic and unrelated, but I remember the box art for it making the rounds on some video game forums like 10 or 15 years ago, and it's still the main box art that is shown out there. Is one that was sold in Europe instead of in the US, and Konami didn't use the Ultra Games name in Europe, but they also didn't officially release this game in Europe. But they didn't want to release something that had the Ultra Games logo, so they just slapped a Konami sticker over the Ultra logo. And for some reason, that's the box art that seems to end up on most websites for the game. Yeah. Is this box art with the Ultra Games logo with the Konami sticker shallowly slapped on there. And that was always funny to me.
I have a couple things to say about the box art, which is, first of all, the box art we got was, I would say, misleading.
Oh,
straight up, because if you look, none of these blocks in the one that you sent me is the same one we got here in the US are in the L shapes that the shapes must be for you to be able to fire the blocks in from the bottom. They're all in explicitly Tetris shapes.
Yes. Yeah.
Which does kind of seem like they're trying to sell you a Tetris game, and it isn't.
Right.
Also, the Japanese box art shows the ship as like this weird Baroque looking Gothic bullet thing with like cherubs dangling off the side.
Yeah.
In weird abstract suns and moons in the background. It's just a very bizarre image, but also has this one has the correct shapes. This one does. It's got shapes that you'll actually encounter in the game. So just weird box art stuff.
Yeah.
For Quarth going on. What's your first pick?
So I'm going to start with Baku Baku.
I love that you're like, I don't think mine are obscure. Anyway, Baku Baku Animal on Game Gear.
Look, this was a launch game on the Saturn as well, and
the Saturn, the extremely well known system that everyone owned in the States.
Look, it was people like the Saturn.
Look, it's probably sold more than the Turbo, but not by a ton.
So Baku Baku was Sega's puzzle game answer to literally every other puzzle game being on Nintendo at the time. And I this was I'm specifically pointing out the Game Gear version that was released in '96 because I had played a demo of the PC port of this when Sega released it in like '97, '98, and I probably rented the Saturn version at some point. But the first time I really got to get into the game was when I downloaded the emulator or the ROM for it on a Game Gear emulator. And I was like, this is enough for me. This is still the game, but without all of the fucking deranged graphics of the Saturn version.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen what the Saturn version looks like. It's fucking deranged.
No. I'm looking this up.
Especially the animations in it are just absolutely insane. But it's a fun little game where you have these little animal heads and then
God.
Yeah.
And what is this fucking cover art?
Yeah, that's an accurate depiction of the game is what it is. So,
oh my God.
So basically you have little animal heads that'll drop and little animal foods that'll drop. And all you have to do is connect the animal head to the corresponding food, and then the little head will come to life and eat all the food.
I see.
And so you have your matching foods. You have carrots for rabbits, and you have bananas for monkeys, and bamboo for pandas, and bones for dogs, because dogs eat bones, right?
Right. Yeah, they will.
Human bones. And then
yeah, my dogs love human femur bones.
Yeah,
it's their favorite.
It's their favorite. And the more of that food you have stacked up in one big group, and then you put an animal head next to it, the more points you get, and of course you can chain them and everything.
Sure.
But it feels kind of like a puzzle fighter in that you get just groups of 2 and you drop them, and then you try to link them up to their corresponding explodey bit. So it's got a lot of similar DNA to Puzzle Fighter, and I think it predates Puzzle Fighter by a year or 2.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one that I've always enjoyed, and it's anytime I'm going to Game Gear emulation, it's always one of the first games I use to play with it, just because it was one of the first games on an emulator that I really got into for Game Gear. And the Saturn version's okay, but its graphics are insane enough that even I have a problem with it. Just when the animals come to life on the Saturn, they're all like
it's 3D
polygons, and it's unhinged.
It's unsettling. Yeah.
But it's still a fun game though.
My second pick is Puzzle Drop Pocket.
Yeah.
This is on the Neo Geo Pocket Color. This is developed by SAS Sakato, who later worked on the Theater Rhythm games, who you may know them from. Published by SNK, as was almost every Neo Geo Pocket game. They published like almost all of them.
Yeah.
It's released in Japan, December 5th, 1999. And I believe it got a North American release. I'm not sure what the North American release date was, but we've mentioned Magical Drop.
It's hard to say on SNK or on Neo Geo Pocket Color games whether or not they got an
2000, 2001
release. Yeah.
So we've mentioned Magical Drop many times on the show, along with its sister game, Money Puzzle Exchanger.
It's better game.
But okay, relax. But the Neo Geo Pocket Color port of Magical Drop remains my favorite way to play Magical Drop. Even when I have full Neo Geo emulation available, I will still go to Puzzle Drop Pocket. This one is based on Magical Drop 3. But the reason I go to it is the lack of animated backgrounds that the full-fat versions of the game have just kind of makes the act of playing less distracting. There's less like bouncing, moving shit going on my screen.
Yeah.
And also because it's a tiny screen, you can't see the enemy playing field. So
it's true.
You just get a bar of like how good you're doing against them.
Yeah, that's,
and so
that's also the Game Gear version of Baku Baku is the same way, where you can't see the other person's play field the whole time. So
I don't have that distraction going on.
Right.
It's just very distraction-free magical dropping. It's very pure. It's nice. And this could just be muscle memory. But I find that the Neo Geo Pocket Color version just is flat out snappier feeling than the AES or MVS versions. Even the Game Boy Color version of the game doesn't match the responsiveness of the Neo Geo Pocket Color version for me. I'm not sure really how else to quantify it. It just feels the best. It could be that it's the one I've played the most,
possibly.
But it just feels really good and really responsive and really snappy in a way that other magical drops just do not for me. And it also is easier because it reduces the playing field from 7 columns to 6 columns, which makes the game a little bit easier.
Also a little bit harder because you have less to play with.
Sure, it's smushed into a smaller tunnel. Yeah, definitely. But I Neo Geo Pocket Color version of Magical Drop is I love it. I keep trying to get a physical copy to play on my Analog Pocket because I have the adapter now. Yeah, but I cannot find one that is affordable.
Yeah,
it's like $60 to $90 bare cart.
Ugh.
And I'm like, man, that's a lot of money for Puzzle Drop Pocket. Like, holy shit.
I do like that port of it. I don't think that I would enjoy a Neo Geo Pocket Color port of Money Idol Exchanger, just because reading those
It'd be
little
too
tiny
small.
numbers would be impossible.
Yeah, I also realized I wrote Puzzle Drop Pocket. It's called Magical Drop Pocket.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I wrote that and I keep reading that in my head. I'm like, Justin, it's not Puzzle Drop Pocket. It is Magical Drop Pocket.
There you go.
I think in my head I always do this. I was thinking Money Puzzle Exchanger.
Yeah.
And I smushed the two names when I wrote it, I guess. Magical Drop Pocket, not Puzzle Drop Pocket. But man, what a good version of Magical Drop. It's fantastic. Oh, yeah. I very, very much enjoy it, and is very much a premier handheld puzzle game for me.
Nice.
What's your second pick, Saturn?
Going with Gunpei.
Gunpei. I think I've played this once.
Yeah. So this was a launch title on the WonderSwan, I believe. It was an early title on the WonderSwan either way, and it was a heavily advertised one, at least on the forums that I went to, just because.
Sure, this was like the premier WonderSwan puzzle game,
right? Yeah, it was the one that was named after Gunpei Yokoi, who developed the WonderSwan and the Game Boy as well. Sure. We didn't get it here in the West until the DS or PSP releases, which were in 06 and 07. Mm-hmm. Which is where I first played it, was the DS version, before I ever played it on a WonderSwan emulator. But so basically you have these line segments that come up from the bottom of the screen, and you can flip any two tiles vertically anywhere on the playfield. And the tiles that come up are just these line segments that fill their little rectangle, and you just have to flip them around until you can make a line that goes from the left side to the right side. Mm-hmm. And on the WonderSwan, you get this little voice that goes, okay, every time that you do it. That's great. I love that little voice. And of course, chaining multiple lines at once gets you bonus points. It's, how all puzzle games seem to go.
Sure.
And it's relatively basic. And by the time that it starts to speed up, it gets a little more hectic. But I like the flow of it. I like how I really like any game that starts a little slow like that and kind of built up in puzzle games. But it's nice, and it's different enough from all the various Tetrises that it feels like a unique thing for me.
This one I cannot. I remember playing. I looked up a screenshot because I was trying to remember if it was the weird wiggly line game.
Yep.
And I cannot. My brain can't not. I can't do that.
Oh, really?
I can't do whatever I need to do that. It does not exist for me.
It's for me. It always feels like the stock line goes up game.
Yeah,
I just have to make an upward line every time. It makes me feel good. But usually I do not get the correct pieces for it, and then I get angry.
Yeah, it's tough. But I did play it because I was trying to find cool vertical WonderSwan games. Mm-hmm. And it was one.
Yeah, it is one of the few portrait mode WonderSwan games that I feel like actually works right.
Work and justify the format.
Yeah, right.
I feel like when the WonderSwan came out, they were like, oh, well, it'll be, you can go vertical or horizontal. And then they were like, but who's going to do vertical games? And two people were like, we will, but that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to get. My third pick is a ROM hack. This is a game that I've now made. I went searching for the best Game Boy Color Tetris. Mm-hmm. And first I bought a copy of Tetris DX.
Yeah. Which is
a Japanese copy because I can't afford an American copy.
That's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, it is. It's not insanely expensive, but it was like more than I wanted to spend on Tetris.
Yeah.
And I got it. It took like over a month to get here, and it came from Japan with a little packet of tea and a very long letter specifically addressed to me from the Japanese seller. For people that have never bought things from Japanese sellers on eBay,
that happens sometimes.
You get they will write you a whole letter. It's like, Dear Justin Baker, thank you so much for purchasing game. I am much the happy that you wanted to buy this from me and have many goods for you if you wish for them. Yeah. And it'll be like, regards, Tanaka. And you're like, thanks, Tanaka, or like whoever fucking send it to you.
I hope you in this game have many long summer memories together.
And it's always like cute stationery. It's got stamps and shit. Like they go all out. The presentation is insane.
Yeah.
But I got my Tetris DX and I played it and I was like, this isn't very good.
I always preferred black and white Tetris to Tetris DX.
An original Tetris is just a little too dated. And so then the Mod Retro Classic had come out, the Chromatic, the Game Boy Color that arms dealer made, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to give an arms dealer money, so I didn't buy it. But you can't buy the game separately because I was like, maybe I'll just buy the game. The game comes with the Chromatic.
Ugh.
And so I found a backed up copy and played that. And it's a pretty good version of Tetris. For being from a company run by an arms dealer, I'm a little shocked at how good it is.
Yeah.
But I was annoyed. I was like, I don't want to have to buy this whole fucking like metal Game Boy from this asshole to get this cool version of Tetris.
Yeah.
So I went into the world of ROM hacks to see what I could find. And I found a combination of 2 ROM hacks. So the full ROM hack name is Tetris: Rosie Retrospection DX. It's on Game Boy Color. There's 2 mods: the base hack by Ospin, and then the DX hack by Creepercraft. So you'll take your original Tetris, you'll apply Ospin's hack, and then you will apply the DX hack to make it color.
To colorize it, yeah.
So these mods released in 2022 and 2024 respectively, so they're pretty new. And Rosie Retrospection adds a ton of shit. I just copied the list off of ROM hacking. I don't know what most of this stuff means, so I'm just going to read the things that I understand.
Yeah.
First of all, Shadow Piece, which shows where your piece will drop.
Right.
It's got 3 previews, which is nice. It has a hold function with the select button.
Yeah.
It's got something with some kind of different random number generator than original Tetris had, which people that have played Game Boy Tetris know the random number generation is weird.
Garbage, yeah.
It has hard drop, so you can hard drop your fast drop your piece or whatever. It just got a new screen layout, and then a bunch of other stuff that faster line clear is nice. It's got adjustable difficulty, higher start locations. It remembers your scores like Tetris DX does, and visually it's colorized much like Tetris DX when you add the DX ROM hack. So it feels and plays like modern Tetris, but still looks like Game Boy Tetris and sounds like Game Boy Tetris. Because that was another thing is Tetris DX had it didn't have the Tetris song.
Right.
And that was sad to me.
Well, NES Tetris didn't either.
True. But I always played Game Boy Tetris. So just having the shadow piece and the hard drop is enough to like sell me on it. But it plays fast and snappy like a modern Tetris, but still feels like you're playing old Game Boy Tetris, just kind of like the way you might imagine it having been when you were a kid, you know? Yeah. And it has kind of become my de facto Tetris to the point that I'm looking at getting a higher end, because I have it on one of my junky AliExpress flash carts. I'm looking at getting like a higher, nicer end cartridge for it and getting a nicer label made for it to have like a very nice official cartridge for this weird Tetris ROM hack, which I sent to you. I don't know if you got a chance to play it, but man.
No, I hadn't yet.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Absolutely highly recommend it. If you don't want the color, you can just get the Rosie Retrospection thing, and it's original Game Boy Tetris, but souped up. You know, but then I like the color, so
nice.
There I was. What's your third pick?
I'm going with Chips Challenge.
Oh man!
If you owned an Atari Lynx, this was basically assigned to you. This was the game that anyone who owned a Lynx would have. This was originally on Lynx. It has since been on some other things, mostly microcomputers and PC.
I played this on when I would go to my grandma's house when I was a kid.
It was on the Microsoft Entertainment Pack for Windows.
Yeah,
right?
She had a Windows 3 computer.
Yeah,
she had that and an NES, and we're talking like 2001, 2002. She had a Windows 3 computer and an NES with like 5 games, and it was Bubble Bobble, Metal Gear,
nice,
Life Force.
Yeah.
And I swear she had 2 more. I don't remember what they were, but Chips Challenge was on the computer, and I'd never seen it anywhere else. And it was the only place we got to play it. So good.
Well, now it's on Steam.
Oh, is it? I didn't realize it was on Steam.
Yeah, they've since re-released it on Steam. It's also got a Switch release last year.
What?
Yeah.
This is absurd.
Yeah. So if you haven't played Chips Challenge, it starts out with a story that clearly some dude in a cubicle made by looking at the things around his cubicle
Sure.
and thinking back to his high school days. It's basically like nerd kid wants into the cool kids club, and so the hot girl tells him that she has to finish her challenges or something like that. So anyway,
hold on. Here, I got it pulled up on Steam. Before Chip can join the Bitbusters Computer Club and hang out with the girl of his dreams, Melinda, the mental marvel, he must solve all 144 challenging puzzles. That's it. That's the story. Yeah. Melinda, the mental marvel. Here's the weird thing. She's Melinda, the mental marvel, so you'd assume she made the puzzles.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually say that she made them.
No.
She just is Melinda, the mental marvel, and there are puzzles. So yeah, it's God, they're mean about her too. Can you help Chip win the cold heart of his one true love and become an official Bitbuster? God, now Melinda, the mental marvel, is cold-hearted.
If he doesn't get with Melinda soon, he's gonna end up Bitbusting his pants.
Oh yeah, there's a Chips Challenge 3D. I didn't know Chips Challenge was still going on. This is incredible. I'm so excited.
They didn't make the sequel until 2015. So there was a long gap between, but it was the original developer came back to make Chips Challenge 2.
And it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you. Chips Challenge.
It's almost like a Sokoban as far as like navigation goes, but there's not as much block pushing. It's more about collecting keys and opening doors and finding the chips and all that stuff. And there are little obstacles and little monsters and fireballs, and you can end up drowning, and it's really kind of dark for its theme. But it's just a very simple little navigationally puzzly game. That is kind of Sokoban adjacent, but not quite Sokoban. And I've always enjoyed it. I think I also first played it with that Microsoft Entertainment Pack. But I always knew it as the Lynx game. Like that's where I knew of it as it's that game that anyone with a Lynx had that they wouldn't shut up about for some reason.
Yeah. I remember it was turn-based, nothing moved while you were sitting there, but then I don't remember there being enemies. There were obstacles like fire and water and shit that could hurt you.
There's little bugs that'll run around things that can touch you.
Is that what it was?
Kill you. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
But they looked like little like electronic-y bug things, and I think it was all supposed to be computer themed because they're the Bitbusters. They got to go bust some bits.
Right. I don't know what they thought computer people did.
Well, these were programmers at Atari.
I don't know what they were smoking then. Well, I take it back.
Right.
I think we all know what they were smoking.
We all know what they were smoking.
I think we figured it out. We've deduced it.
Yeah.
Over the years.
But it did get some other computer reports at the time. Like there's a C64 version and an Amiga version and all that kind of stuff. But it was the Lynx game at the time that the Lynx came out. But if you're going to play it today, you can play the Lynx ROM if you really want to, but I'd probably just pick it up on Steam.
You can also play
Switch.
Gauntlet 3 on the Lynx and be a nerd.
But that's not a puzzle game.
How exciting.
Yeah.
It's like Fast Chips Challenge. My fourth pick here is Puzzle Link 2. Also on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, developed by Yume Kobo, people that did Polestar, lots and lots and lots of Neo Geo Pocket Color games, including Gals Fighter. Published by SNK, released in North America April 1st of 2000. Puzzle Link is a falling block game in which you have to shoot little pipes to link sections of similar tiles to clear them. And anytime, I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, you shoot little pipes and you link these sections together to clear them out. And play continues until you find and connect the two C blocks, except for endless mode, which is endless. And so it's this weird mixture of like, instead of just finding matches, you're looking for efficient paths between large caches of specific symbols. So it's falling block, but it kind of changes up the way you think about falling block puzzles.
Yeah.
Because you just have to look at the puzzle a little differently.
Yeah.
There is a small campaign mode that has little anime characters, and you challenge them, and you get their cards, and they give you the abilities to go do a different mode with the cards. And it's just a really fun, simple falling block puzzle game. It is a sequel. I never played the first one because it doesn't work on my Analog Pocket. So it does not work in the Jotego beta Neo Geo Pocket Color core. and I haven't picked up a physical copy. But from what I understand, this is much the same, just slightly expanded.
Yeah.
It's just a fun, cute puzzle game that like feels like a weird, like it's what's that pipe game? Pipe Dream.
Yeah.
Feels like Pipe Dream smushed with like a Tetris or something.
Nice.
And it's a very good time. The Puzzle Link was kind of treated as sort of the premier puzzle game on the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Is how I always viewed it anyway. It was kind of like its own game.
And it's also one of the few Neo Geo Pocket games that never got a port anywhere else. Or it wasn't a port of something from somewhere else.
It wasn't a port of, and it's never been anywhere else as far as I know anyway.
I think it's on that collection on Switch.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, even then, that's just the Neo Geo Pocket Color version.
Yeah,
again, just the ROM.
Right.
But yeah, if you like Neo Geo Pocket Color games, then Puzzle Link's a good time. I enjoy it greatly. What's your fourth pick? This is the only one on your list that I was like, I don't know how hidden this is.
Yeah, this is. I was also a little concerned about this. That it's not that hidden, but I feel like people in recent years haven't talked about it in years, so maybe it's starting to get hidden for the younger people. I
feel like it was big when it came out, and then kind of got forgotten pretty quick.
Right. But yeah, so Meteos, which was on DS. Q Entertainment put it out, so it's one of the few DS games that I played mostly with a stylus. Though you can also use the D-pad if you want to. But you just have blocks that fall from the top relatively fast compared to a lot of puzzle games.
Yeah.
And then you just have to swap them around until they form a row of at least 3 blocks, either horizontally or vertically. And those lined up blocks turn into rocket boosters that launch the bricks up off the top of the screen. And if you have a vertical line of rockets, they'll just immediately go off. But if you have a horizontal line of rockets, they're not quite powerful enough to go all the way off the screen. So you got to boost them by making another link by the blocks that are still being lifted up in the air. And it's when you first start playing, it can be a little intimidating by how fast-paced it is.
It's a lot of plate spinning.
Yeah, and but you do eventually get into the rhythm of it. But no, it's also a pretty fun multiplayer. It's one of the first, actually it was the first DS game that I ever played multiplayer. And I remember it was a quite frantic multiplayer as well, just because you're launching shit at each other.
Yeah.
And that was a good time, but it is one of those games that just kind of was a flash in the pan, where at the time it came out, everybody was like, oh, this is going to be the Tetris of the DS.
Yeah.
And then Tetris DS came out and no one talked about Meteos ever again.
Everyone was like, never mind, we got a Tetris DS. You can fuck off Meteos.
Right.
Yeah. Was Meteos, was it ported to PSP?
No, it was just DS.
It's only DS.
There was Meteos Disney, which was the sequel.
Okay.
And I want to say there might have been, or there was the Xbox 360 version. That was where it got ported.
That might be what I was thinking.
Was Xbox Live Arcade got a Meteos game. Yeah. But that's it. And maybe a Japanese cell phone game or something. But it was unfortunately lost to time after that.
Yeah. My final pick here is also a DS game, but the GBA version of one.
Oh.
This is Polarium Advance, which released on the GBA, developed by Mitchell Corporation, published by Atlas in the US. I believe Nintendo did it in Japan. Came out November 12th, 2006 here. So Polarium on DS got a good amount of attention just by virtue of being a good puzzle game on the system relatively early, kind of the same as Meteos.
Yeah.
For a little bit there, it was like Meteos and Polarium were like the de facto puzzle games on the DS. And the weird thing is the GBA version apparently started development before the DS version of Polarium, but released after the DS version of Polarium. So for people that never played Polarium, Polarium features like Othello-style puzzles where you have to draw a continuous line to flip black or white tiles so that they match the surrounding tiles, thus clearing them. So you'll get a pattern of black and white tiles, and you have to draw a single line to get them all the same color. And that's the basic conceit, but you get special tiles that do things like block movement, or they'll flip to either color, whichever color touches them first, or they link to other tiles, so when they flip, the linked tiles also flip. That, they used to complicate things.
Yeah.
And it's very much one of those games they want you to play it every day, and I felt every second since 2006, because when I booted it up, you can do daily Polarium.
Yeah.
And so I go in there and I'm like, oh, I want to do daily. So it's like, put in the date. To get to the date, you have to scroll through every day from November 12th, 2006 to today.
Nice.
So I was like literally like on my phone with one hand and holding the button over. It took many minutes to scroll to 2025.
Oof.
And I was like, man, I was like having this existential moment of like, all these days, what have I done with them? And then I was like, oh, it's correct now. I can play Polarium, and I forgot. Yeah. But I like the game. It's very cerebral. And for a lot of the harder puzzles, a lot of your time spent solving them is just kind of staring at it, trying to figure out what to do with it. Mm-hmm. So if you're into puzzle games, which are a little slower, they're not falling block or whatever, and it's really something that you kind of just got to sort of stare at and figure out, maybe try a few times. It's a really good one.
Yeah.
The blocks have gravity and they fall, so some puzzles kind of integrate the fact that they're going to fall, and you have to account for that in how you flip the tiles. Mm-hmm. And it can get pretty difficult. And it's also one of those games where sometimes the really simple puzzles, because of the weird special tiles, you'll think they're more difficult than they are and end up trying to do some crazy shit. And then 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, it's just extremely easy and I'm dumb.
Yeah.
Which I always kind of appreciate those moments, in puzzle games. Right. But I did pick the GBA version because, one, I like using buttons more than I like using touchscreen.
Same.
But also the GBA version has 4 times as many puzzles as the DS version, and some new tile types. So it is kind of the better version of Polarium. Yeah. And it's just a good time. When you set the daily Polarium thing, just be prepared to sit there and have to think about how many days it's been since sophomore year of high school. It's been a long time.
I was well out of high school by then, sir.
Been a long fucking time. It would have been my junior year, I guess.
Yeah. That game also got re-released on Wii U on the Virtual Console.
Oh, did it?
And
Was it the DS version? I'm guessing
it was the GBA version. I wonder if they did anything to the date, or if they just made players rewind it.
Scroll through. I bet you they made them scroll it.
I bet.
Yeah. What's your final pick here?
Denki blocks.
Would you call me?
Exactly. So this was it was released on Game Boy Advance everywhere. In Europe, they got a Game Boy Color version, and that's the one that I had played first because I downloaded it on an emulator before GBA emulation was really up to snuff. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I don't know that I even knew that it got a US release on GBA. I was just playing random games on an emulator and came across this. But it was developed by a company called Denki, which is why it was called Denki Blocks. Mm-hmm. And it's a game where you have to smush together a bunch of different blocks of the same color, and it's on a play field with some obstacles in the middle so that you can't just immediately line up those blocks. But it feels like, because you're moving all these blocks at once, it feels like you're moving the entire play field, and just these obstacles are in the way. And it just changes the way that you think about how the puzzles work, because you're moving all these different blocks at the same time. And so you're having to visualize the whole play field at once. It does mess with my mind a little bit because of how it is presented. And also, it always gives you, after the first puzzle or two, it gives you a bonus arrangement that you can line up the bricks in, that if you get them into this form, you get bonus points. Mm-hmm. And it can be a challenge to get to it because of the obstacles that are in the way. But it is one of those things where, like Polarium, where it's kind of contemplative, where you just kind of have to stare at the playfield for a minute and think, well, what is the way that I get to that shape without boning myself where I'm stuck and can't move these anymore?
It also apparently got a PSP and PS3 port.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I did not know that.
I did not realize that.
I might have to download it to my PS3 then.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
For honorable mentions, I got a couple. I wanted very badly to put Pokemon Puzzle Challenge here because That was the game along with Quarth that kind of inspired this, because I was
Yeah.
helping you sell your copy of Pokemon Puzzle Challenge, and you're like, you should play it. Have you played it? And I was like, oh, I haven't played that one. I didn't know it was paneled upon.
Yeah.
And it's really good paneled upon.
It's the best handheld panel. Well, it is the best handheld paneled upon.
But
except for maybe the emulated version on Nintendo Switch Online.
But it has Pokemon in the title, so it inevitably was insanely popular. So
Right.
it doesn't really fit, But
Yeah.
if you like paneled upon, you haven't played Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. I didn't know it was paneled upon all these years. It's really fucking good.
Oh yeah.
Zookeeper is a very fun, cute match 3 game on DS. Love Zookeeper.
Yeah.
Very, very good one. Puzzle Quest on DS was fantastic.
I played so much Puzzle Quest on DS.
But I do think a little too popular to qualify as a hidden gem. Got lots of ports and eventually turned into a shitty mobile game by like the second or third game.
Puzzle Quest 3 is also on modern consoles.
Is it?
And it is a free-to-play gotcha fest.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. With it turned into a shitty mobile game.
Yeah, it's trash. Don't download Puzzle Quest 3.
But the original Puzzle Quest, man, so
still
good,
so good.
Super good.
I played a shitload of Marvel Puzzle Quest too. That was.
Oh yeah. They had a couple spin-offs. There was a sci-fi one called like Galactic Quest or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, Galactic Puzzle Quest.
And
Or
man,
Puzzle
they were
Quest
all
Galactrix. That's what it was.
They were just so cool, so fun. Just a cool idea of like RPG smushed with match 3.
Right.
There's also one other game that I don't know the name of, and I want to say it was on PSP, and it was kind of like Puzzle Quest, but much shittier graphics. And I preferred it to Puzzle Quest. And it's been so many years, I have no fucking idea what it was.
Did you play Gyromancer?
Gyromancer?
It was
No.
It was PopCap and Square Enix made it.
Oh, I see this.
And it's basically...
I just assumed this was a Puzzle Quest.
Yeah, no, it's basically Bejeweled Twist mixed with Puzzle Quest.
Wow. This looks really fun.
Yeah. And I think Square still sells it.
Fun. Yeah, it released on Windows, and that's it.
PC and Xbox 360.
Oh, yeah, Xbox 360 right there. Yep, I see it. Huh. No, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, but that's not handheld, so I can't.
It's not handheld, right? So it does not apply. What are your hidden gems?
I just
or your honorable mentions for hidden. I'm so tired right now. I'm like,
my honorable mentions are Cat Trap and Quirk, which both I mentioned on our Game Boy Hidden Gems episode.
Yep.
But they're still good. They're still fun, and you should still play Cat Rap and Quirk.
Quirk is fun. I picked up Quirk for my daughter to play, so she can play her some Quirk on a FPGA GBC.
Yeah, she might like Chip's Challenge too.
She might enjoy that. It might be a little complex. What she likes about Quirk is it's all that one screen.
That's true.
And Chip's Challenge gets pretty complex.
It does after just a few puzzles.
Oh, I had one more. I cannot go away from this episode without mentioning my wife's favorite puzzle game ever made, which is Jewel Thief in the Game Boy Color Microsoft Puzzle Collection.
Nice.
It is her favorite game, and you play like a little hand, and you walk on tiles to change their colors, and you got to make them all the same color.
Yeah.
But I don't love it. It's fun, but I won't play it for very long. But it's her favorite puzzle game ever made, so I have to mention it.
Yeah. You'll have to let me know if your daughter ends up picking up Chip's Challenge, because I'll have to know if she ever wins the heart of Melinda, the mental marvel.
Melinda, that cold-hearted Melinda. Getting into final thoughts, it's almost 1 a.m. and I'm very sleepy. So my final thought is that I like video games, and I like puzzle games, and I like handhelds. And when the chocolate goes into my peanut butter, I enjoy that too. So
do not put
it's
chocolate in your peanut butter, Justin. Don't. You'll need to clean up afterwards. No, there is something special about puzzle games on handhelds, and I don't know what it is. Clearly. Yeah. The world discovered that magic when Tetris released on the Game Boy, and became an absolute
become
sensation.
The staple. Every handheld has to have a good puzzle game.
Yeah, but no,
at least one.
And I am always down for more hidden puzzle games. So if any of you have any hidden puzzle games we didn't mention, please let us know. We need to know.
Absolutely, I would love to know. Because I'm always on the lookout for new ones. Because man, so sometimes it's something about And it's the thing that like we fixed in modern times with sleep-wake functions on devices.
Right.
But it used to be when you're like, all right, I have a handheld, which means I'm going to be in situations where I can only play it for a few minutes at a time.
Right.
What the fuck kind of game can I only play for 17 minutes? Like, what am I going to get done in anything?
Right.
Turns out Tetris. There you go.
Yep. Yeah,
flip it on, play it, and then whenever you're done, if you got to get off at your bus stop or whatever, just turn it the fuck off. It's not saving anything anyway. What are you going to do?
Or if you're a Sega kid, you got Columns and Baku Baku. That's your options.
There you go. Oh, yeah, Columns is good.
Yeah.
Columns is a good game.
Yeah.
You know what else was a good game? It's the segue to our Patreon. Patreon.com/RetroWarriors, where you can get fun things like
that was
like
the most phoned in segue you've ever done.
Like me going to bed and getting in my cozy warm bed and sleeping there. You can get Talking Wizards. You can get 9 graham crackers. You can get Read Along. You can get
100% of your daily vitamin B.
Yeah, 100% your daily vitamin B12. I'm so tired. I've not been this tired in so long.
I've been sleep deprived all week, and I am not anywhere near as tired as you sound right now.
I don't know what it is. When I get sleep deprived, it's like I get into this like manic state.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. But when I start catching up on sleep,
yeah.
my body's like, oh, we're allowed to do this? Well, you're going to fucking go to sleep then. And it just like shuts down. I also usually caffeinate before the show. And I was like, no, I'm not going to caffeinate. I'm excited about these episodes. I'll make it through them. And here I am just like, bleh.
That was a mistake.
Anyway, before I pass out, we need to thank the following patrons, starting with the Half Minute Hero.
And EMD.
David Svihel.
Amarlian.
The New Craft.
Ivan Cervantes.
VJ.
Keith FTA.
Rantic.
And Matthew Webb.
They all gave us money, and I'm going to go to bed now. So thank you to our patrons. Thank you for listening, and thank you for playing Quarth, because it's a fun, weird game.
If you listen to this in the morning, just assume that Justin's going to day sleep today.
Yeah, just...
He's going to have a margarita and then sleep through the day.
I started catching up on sleep, and I noticed that I was like, all right, I'll go to sleep and give myself 8 hours. And then the next night I slept for 9 hours. And the next night I slept for 10 hours. And I was like,
man.
am I just going to keep going until I'm sleeping?
Until you hibernate?
Yeah, until my body's just like, we're done. We're just going to die. We're just going to, this is it. You're going to sleep your last 40 years away. I don't know, man. It's very weird. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. And as always, let us cling together.